It was another quiet evening on the dusty plains of Wyoming, the kind of silence that had become too familiar to Ethan Cole. The widowed rancher had spent 7 long years believing his wife, Clara, had perished in a stagecoach accident on her way back from visiting her sister in Denver. Every day since, he'd poured his grief into his ranch mending fences, breaking horses, and pretending the hollow ache in his chest was something he could fix with hard work and solitude. The land had become his only companion, the wide skies his only witness. Until that day, the day 2 little girls walked up his drive and shattered everything he thought he knew. It was late afternoon, the horizon painted in gold and dust. Ethan was fixing a gate when he saw the figures 2 small silhouettes, hand in hand, trudging through the dirt road that led up to his barn. At first, he thought they were travelers lost on their way to town, but as they drew closer, his hammer slipped from his hand. They were identical. Same golden curls, same blue eyes, same faint dimple on the left cheek. They couldn't have been older than 6. And yet something about them pulled at his heart in a way that made his knees weak. "Mister," one of them said softly, clutching the other's hand tighter, "are you Ethan Cole?" He nodded, his voice caught somewhere between confusion and instinct. "That's me, little one." "What's the matter? Are you lost?" The second girl took a deep breath and looked up at him with trembling lips. "Mama said, if we ever got here, we'd find our daddy." Ethan froze. The air seemed to stop moving. His mind raced, his heart thundered, and for the first time in years, he felt alive, but in the most terrifying way possible. "What did you just say?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The girl's blue eyes shimmered. "You're our daddy," she said, her voice full of certainty and innocence. "Mama showed us your picture. She said your name's Ethan Cole." Ethan dropped to one knee, staring into their faces, 2 small reflections of the woman he thought he'd buried long ago, Clara, those eyes. That smile. It was her. The girls didn't flinch as he studied them. They only looked back with quiet trust, the kind only children could have. "What's your mama's name?" He managed to ask, though he already knew the answer his heart dreaded. "Clara," one whispered. "Clara Cole." The world tilted. Ethan stumbled back, his breath coming short. He wanted to believe it was some cruel trick, that grief was playing with him again, but the truth was staring him right in the face. He took them inside, made them warm milk, and tried to make sense of it all. Between sips and soft voices, the girls told him how their mama had been hurt but survived the crash. A group of settlers found her unconscious near the river, carried her to a town hundreds of miles away. She'd lost her memory for years. When she finally remembered who she was, she tried to come home, but life had changed. She had twins. She got sick again before she could reach him, and before she passed, she told the girls where to find their father. Ethan sat by the fire, tears glistening in his rough, work-worn hands. He couldn't stop staring at them, his daughters. 2 pieces of Clara he never knew existed. Every laugh they shared, every innocent question they asked, cut deep into the years he'd lost. They told him about Clara's stories, how she'd described his bravery, his laughter, the way he'd hum while fixing fences. She'd told them he'd love them more than the stars themselves. "She said you'd know her song," one said quietly. Ethan turned to the old piano in the corner, covered in dust. It had been Clara's. He hadn't touched it since the day he got the news she was gone. With trembling fingers he pressed a key. The sound was cracked but true. Then another and another, until the melody filled the room, Clara's lullaby. The twins' eyes lit up. "That's it," they cried. "That's Mama's song." Ethan couldn't hold back anymore. He pulled them close, both of them fitting perfectly in his arms, as if time itself had been waiting for this moment. "You're home now," he whispered. "You're safe. Daddy's here." That night, under the same stars that had witnessed his years of loneliness, Ethan made a silent promise to be the father Clara wanted him to be, to protect these girls with every breath he had. The ranch, once cold and quiet, echoed with laughter again. Tiny footsteps raced down the wooden floors, giggles filled the air, and the ghost of sorrow that had haunted him finally began to fade. But deep down, he felt something more, like Clara was still there, watching over them, her spirit woven into the wind that brushed through the fields. Every sunset, he'd sit with the twins on the porch, telling them stories about their mother, the bravest woman he ever knew, and teaching them the songs she loved. Sometimes, when the wind blew just right, he swore he could hear her humming along. Life had taken everything from Ethan Cole once, but fate, in its strange mercy, had given him back something even greater, a reason to live again. As the sun dipped below the hills and the twins snuggled beside him, Ethan smiled at the horizon. "Guess you were right, Clara," he whispered. "Love don't die. It just finds its way home." Asterisk, if you felt this story touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Asterisk, there's more heart-stirring Western tales waiting for you, stories of love, loss, and miracles that prove family always finds its way back.